Welcome to Five Live Boxing. The build-up continues for Anthony Joshua against Alexander Usyk at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday night, which is live and exclusive on Five Live at 10 p.m. Now, earlier this week, we were in one of boxing's most iconic venues, York Hall in Bethnal Green. Today, I'm in the basement of a yoga centre in Hampstead. Now, that's a maverick setting, and that's because it's the perfect place to speak to one of British boxing's most maverick and enigmatic and charismatic and interesting and, well, several other expressions. I'm joined by former British heavyweight champion, a man who fought for the world heavyweight title nearly 10 years ago. Should have fought for it 11 years ago. It's a man who used to drive a three-wheeler. Now he drives a tiny little smart car with a personalised number plate. It's Derek Del Boy Chisora. First of all, Del, I've got to tell you, I've interviewed you in some odd places over the years, but in the basement of a yoga centre in Hampstead, that's going some.
Yes, called an upgradation. Upgraded.
You've upgraded from stinky, sweaty gyms to Yoga Central.
Yes, so I'm based in Hampstead, North London, you know. I grew up around here, so why not do the interview here?
So perfect place for it. Now, Del, I will talk to you about your rematch with Joseph Parker coming up on December the 18th. I'll talk to you about that in a moment. But I want to talk to you about the last time you stepped in the ring. And the man who was opposite you, it's obvious why, is Alexander Usyk. First of all, talk me through, let's get straight to it. Talk me through what's so good about Usyk first, and then what's vulnerable about Usyk?
You know, for me, basically with my old team, basically, we decided that we're gonna rush him. Basically, we're not gonna box him because he's a great boxer. So we rushed him for 12 rounds, and some rounds I won, some I lost. He's very fit. He knows how to move. The thing I was worried about when I was fighting him is if he wrong sides me and I go on the blind side. When I'm on the blind side, he can check over the left and the right, and by the time I turn, I'll be on the floor. So we learned that he can't turn me. So every time he tried to turn me, I was tripping him basically. And
so you had to make it as physical as possible.
Physical as possible, and he don't like to get hit at the body.
So between hitting him with body shots and making sure he didn't manage to turn clear of you so he gets a clear shot as you're turning into the shot. Yeah. So basically, that's a lot of concentration you have to put up.
I may have to pull out loads of concentration and be fit at the same time.
Do you think that Usyk maybe underestimated you? You know, because it looked to me like in the first couple of rounds, he knew he had to move and he was running, but then he started to settle down. But he still had to really work. Do you think he maybe underestimated you? And what I'm getting at, do you think he maybe underestimates big men, real big men like you?
You know, when I boxed him, he thought I could not close the gap down on him, basically. And then I
thought you'd be too slow.
Yeah, and then plus I had to be fit to close the gap down on him. You know, everywhere he moved, I was just there, staying on his chest and just chucking, hitting the leather, just hitting him everywhere.
So if you'd have stuck at one of the older, the more traditional Derek Del Boy Chisora paces, he would have just peppered you all day long with shots.
Oh, mate, it would have been a long night.
And a painful one.
A long night and a painful one. It would have been a nightmare.
Was he harder to hit than you expected, Del?
No, he's there to be hit. You know, he steps in, he hits you, and he steps out, and he comes back in and out.
So you can read it a little bit.
You can read it a little bit, but when he hits you, you need to hit him at the same time. Don't wait to counterpunch him. Hit him at the same time when he hits you.
And you said that you felt that he didn't like it to the stomach, and did you sense that? But it was easier said than done. You might have hurt him with a body shot, but you couldn't do it all the time. Was he too clever to fall for the trick more than once?
I hit him with a good body shot, and he kind of rubbed it, and then he hit me with a good one. And that's when I say the BBC's favorite word. And then basically. So if you look at the fight, you hear it in the fight. I say it in round 5, I think. Yeah, and then we carried on. That was good though.
Did he hit harder than you expected? Or was it a case of his timing and the fact he gets you, as you say, from the blind side?
Timing, because on round 7, he hit me so good, it was the last second of the round, and my legs were gone.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to give credit as due as needed.
Yeah, of course.
Because he turned me. Remember, I told you
Set
that
the punch
blind
up.
side, which the southpaw turns you. By the time you turn, you're turning into a shot, and he did it perfectly. And then I was like, oh, and then the ball, bang, bang. I was like, oh, thank God, thank God, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus.
and before, how did you find him as a person? Because you're a character. He's a character.
He's a
You've done
likable
stuff.
guy.
He's done
He's
stuff.
a likable guy. He's a likable guy. There's nothing bad to say about this man. He's a good character. He don't say anything bad. He's a family man. He's a likable guy. Do you understand? There's nothing badness about him. You like the guy. That is it.
Now, he came in there, a career heaviest, about whatever it was, 15-7, I think he was, for that particular fight. Now, the suggestion is he might come in heavier for Saturday night against AJ. Now, as an experienced professional and as a fully fledged, full-bodied heavyweight, is it going to make any difference if he comes in 7 or 8 or 9 pounds heavier? Or is that maybe going to slow him down? What's your gut feeling, Derek? If you were training him or training alongside him?
To be honest with you, it's different because the guy he's fighting, he's adapted to a new style of boxing and moving.
That's the Joshua from the Ruiz fight and the one that was thoughtful against Pulev.
Yeah, and Joshua's dropped so much weight, but one thing he's kept is his power. And
you think he's dropped a lot of weight, Derek?
He looks in great shape.
Yeah. So when you say a lot of weight, if he dropped 7 pounds, would you consider that a lot of weight, or 8 pounds?
Yeah, in the heavyweight game, yeah. You know how long it takes to drop those pounds?
It's easy to put them on.
It's easy to put them on in the heavyweight game. Dropping 7 pounds is a lot of weight, I tell you that, and it's hard. And, they just dropped so much weight, but he kept his power. His power is still the same. When I saw him sparring, he was moving. And these guys he was sparring, they were very lively.
Yeah.
And then after when he hits them, they go in their shell. And he still got the power. So with Alexander, if he's coming lighter, we know it's going to be a long night. I wish I told AJ this is going to be a long night, but the victory will be yours with a knockout.
Have you spoken to AJ? Has he spoken to you? Have you been in camp and have you talked to him about this fight specifically?
No, listen, the last time I was with him was like last week on Thursday or Friday. I don't know. It was on a Monday. And then I asked him how you feel. He goes, I feel great. I'm like, just enjoy it. He goes, yes, I'm enjoying it. And then there's no pressure. You can tell there's no pressure on him. He's loving it.
Everyone says that. He's the most relaxed they've seen him. He's trained harder than they've seen him, and he's more relaxed than they've seen him.
Yes, because, listen, it's pressure's only put by the media, by you guys. Oh, this guy's so amazing. This is an unbelievable fighter. And the other guy will be, rubbing that guy's backside. Oh, Usyk is unbelievable. Look at him. Great shot. Untouchable.
Unbeatable.
But really and truly, he's just a man who bleeds the same way, who's breathing the same oxygen as I am doing, and I'm punching much harder than him. So I told him, listen, just go out and enjoy it. But one thing AJ has, which Usyk don't have, is that knockout punch. Yeah. Yes, it might take him 8 rounds, 6 rounds, 10 rounds, but I can guarantee you this right now, Usyk is going to get laid out.
And AJ will get to him.
AJ will get to him.
So would you advise him in straight terms to pressure Usyk from the start or to box and increase the pressure? Which one of those two? Because it seems to be everyone is falling somewhere between the two.
No, it just depends on the day. It depends how you start off. It depends how you start off. Some people go in there go for a walk for 4 or 5 rounds because I only got 4 or 5 rounds in the tank and knock the guy out and, hit the Hail Mary, say, thank God, thank you, Jesus, I'm out.
I'm gone.
I'm gone. And some people are like, you know what, I'm fit. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to soften him up and I'm going to knock him out. And they will do the same thing he did with Pulev.
Yeah.
Yeah. He hit Pulev so hard, Pulev wanted to run out of the ring.
Yeah. He did. He turned around.
He turned around. He was all of his foes running out of the ring, and he realized, hold on, what am I doing?
was a kind of realisation.
Exactly.
Pulev's been in with big men. He's been in with good guys. You had 12 torrid rounds with Pulev.
Exactly.
But he got hit there like he'd never been hit before. He was a grown man.
And then he realised, this is not for me anymore. And he left.
Dale, before I talk about your rematch with Joseph Parker, you and I, we did stuff together many years ago, 2008 and 9 on BBC London. You'd come in as the ABA champion, you'd be turning pro, all that type of stuff. And I remember you distinctly telling me about a young guy in the gym, a young guy in the gym at the time, AJ at Finchley, when he was young, when he was a little bit slimmer, he was a little bit skinnier. What do you remember about him, the AJ, before he'd even had an amateur contest? Can you remember much about him?
So you're talking about a broke AJ, basically.
But yes, an AJ without an Oyster card kind of thing.
Yeah.
A broke AJ, I love it.
Listen, I get a phone call one day from John Oliver. He goes, "Oh, we got this big guy. You should come and see him." So I'm like, one day when I'm up in Barnet, I'll pop by and see him. And then I walked in there, and he was the first guy in the gym. Seniors train at 6:30, but he was there at 5 o'clock in the dressing room, just chilling out. Saw him, said hello, how are you, blah blah, and I didn't realize I knew his sister before. I knew AJ's sister, and then time flies on, and one day I'm running in Temple Fortune, and his sister pulls up, goes, "Oh hi, Derek." I'm like, "Hey, how you been?" We spoke for a while, and I said, because my brother's boxing. What advice would you give him? I was like, advice, all he has to do is just stay in the gym and everything else will pay off. And guess what? He stayed in the gym, everything paid off. And then fast forward 10 years later, wins the gold. Sells out Wembley, what's the word?
Millennium Stadium.
Millennium Stadium. Now he's selling out Tottenham.
He's not broke anymore, is he?
Yeah, he ain't got Oyster card anymore.
He ain't got an Oyster card anymore. I wonder when the last time AJ used his Oyster card. Derek, when he was on his way, before he got to the world title fight with Charles Martin, were you ever offered a fight with him? Because in some ways he beat Matt Skelton, and you would have been a test, but they seem to be looking for fighters. Was there any suggestion? Were you ever offered him before his world title fight?
No, I was on the other side.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the other side.
And what about since he's been champion? Because guys who have achieved far less than you have had world title fights in the last 5 years, as you know. And I'm not just saying that because I know you.
I want to be honest with you. Yeah, would I like to fight for a world title? I fight for a world title every day, and that is with my kids. When I walk in the ring, when I got 10,000, 20,000, that's my world title for me. You understand? Every day for me. Like when I train, I don't need somebody to tell me you're fighting for a world title today and put it on the paper that I'm fighting for a world title. If I'm fighting for the British title, that's my world title, and I enjoy it. Do you understand? So we fight life every day, and that's a world title for me. Waking up now these days, I won a world title, to be honest with you, because it's hard out there right now.
But Del, listen, you can try all you like. I'm looking at you, and you're about the most peaceful I've ever seen Derek Del Boy Chisora ever. You might be getting ready for a massive fight against Parker. You might be training really hard. You might have to shift half a stone or a couple of stone. I don't care. Yeah, let's try 5. Let's try half. But I can just tell you're content. This is the most content I've ever seen you.
No, I'm
not sure if I like Derek content.
No, because I ain't got my Union Jack on.
And your mask on.
My mask on, basically, yeah. But when I put that on, it's a totally different style.
Del, Joseph Parker.
Yes.
It was a terrific fight last time. You really pushed him, and I think you shocked him and surprised him by your engine and the fact that you didn't fade and collapse. What's the thinking behind having that fight again, other than the fact that it was a hard, close fight last time?
Listen, the same thing happens to me every time. I box in Finland. I come out.
Robbed.
You won the fight.
Robert Helenius.
You won the fight. Great. I boxed for a world title. I think you won the fight. It should have been a draw.
It was his hardest fight, Vitaly, for years.
Thank you very much. I come back home. I box in Manchester. You won that fight. He didn't beat you the first time. You won that fight. Get a rematch. I get a rematch. I fight the fight. I'm fighting 2 people. I'm fighting the ref and White.
Dillian White with 2 fights.
Last round now, I need to get a knockout. everybody telling me, you don't need a knockout, you're winning. I'm like, no, forget that. You never know what this guy's doing in the back, you know. Then I'm fighting the fight again. The ref gets involved. I lose my concentration. I get knocked out. Great, whatever. Great knockout. I bounce back. I fight again with Usyk. Should have been a fight. I would have won it. No, they gave it to him. I fight Joseph Parker. What did they do? Gave it to him. It's like I don't belong in this country.
Pulev, you missed out Pulev.
No, yeah, exactly. It's like I don't belong in this country. It's like I'm an immigrant. I don't belong. I don't wear Union Jack. Where's the love? Where is the love from the judges, basically? Where is the love? Where is the love?
But the fans love you, Dale. That's why they keep coming back for you.
Who do I have to pay to get my decisions? You tell me whose door do I have to go knock to pay your fella? There's your 100 grand. Make sure if I get knocked out, still give me the decision. Do you understand? That's the whole point. Because I'm not greasing anybody up properly, man. Because everybody else is getting everybody's greasing people up.
You're not having any luck.
This is not about luck, my friend.
You're not having any breaks.
You know, this is not about luck. You know, this is like walking down the street, coming out my door right now and stepping on dog crap, dog poo. Yeah, that's called luck, isn't it?
Yeah, that's bad luck.
No, is it bad luck? You think so? What is it if you walk outside and step on dog poo, it's bad luck. But if a pigeon flies past you and then crap in your head, they say it's good luck.
Yeah, I got to tell you.
Crap is crap. Am I lying?
No matter where it lands.
No matter where it lands.
No matter who's deposited it.
Exactly. So I'm just trying to figure out what have I done in this past lifetime for me to get all these wrong decisions. But guess what? They can't slow me down.
You know, the one thing you missed out there, Derek, was the mad phone call you and I had in December. I think, were in Hamburg, December 2010.
Oh, I remember.
When you called me up, and it was the day before your weigh-in for your world title fight against Vladimir Klitschko, and you said to me on the phone, and you were frantic, you were shouting, you were raving. You said, he's not going to fight me. I said, Derek, of course he's going to fight you. The weigh-in's tomorrow, man. It's sold out venue. He said, he's not going to fight me, Steve. And he didn't, and he pulled out the next day.
I did tell you, yes. Because regardless, is so Manuel Stewart sat there when I was moving around. He looked. He got up. Vladimir came in, did whatever he did. And then after, Emmanuel Stewart went to one of the people I knew, a friend of a friend in London. He goes, we're not fighting. We're going to pull out because it's too much, this kid.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Stewart leaves. I get a phone call from my friend. Your fight's not happening. I go to the guy, now you're lying to me. Because now your fight's not happening. I'm like, stop lying. You know? I'm like, what? And the guy is actually big into football. He's Josh Barnett. I grew up with him. He's calling me. I'm like, this is a kid who lives in his big house with his parents. Why is he calling me at this time? I'm all fired up. Goes, fella, you're upset your fight's not happening. I'm like, what are you talking? Because, my dad's friend in Vegas called my dad in London, and he told him the fight's not happening. So the fight's been to Vegas.
And he was right.
Yeah, and he was right. And then, guess what? I wake up in the morning, breaking news on Sky, fight's off. Why? He's pulled a hamstring.
You know what Manny Stewart told me about 2 years after that? He told me on 5 Live. He said, I asked him about it, and he went quiet, Manny. And I thought, well, that's awkward. He might put the phone down here, make out there's a bad connection. And he went, quote unquote, I've got the quote on a bit of paper here. He said, Derek was all wrong for Vladimir. So he didn't even deny it. He said, Derek was all wrong for Vladimir.
Yeah, that is it.
That was only 10 years ago. You've only had 11 years of hard knocks. I don't even know why you're moaning, Dill. The sun's outside. You're in a yoga studio. You're happy as Larry. You've got a big fight coming up. Yeah. You're laughing.
I'm laughing, but, it's just painful.
Let me just ask you for one final thing, and I hate doing this, but I've got to keep on doing it. So how does it end at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday night, and then how does it end once you get Joseph Parker back in the ring? 2 predictions from you, please, big lad.
First one I'll give you easy. They're going to have to bring that smelly sauce. What's that smelly sauce they give you when you get... smelly sauce, yeah. Because Usyk is going to get laid out. And the only way he's going to wake up is without sauce. Yeah. With the sauce.
And what about you, December 18th? Christmas present.
That's too far off to realise that.
Ah, listen, Del, you know what, mate? Saying it's a pleasure and a delight doesn't cover it. So it's a privilege still dealing with you after all these years. Derek Del Boy Chisora, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Who's paying me?
Let's get ready to rumble!
5 Live Boxing.
That was Derek Del Boy Chisora in great form. He was, of course, the last man to share a ring with Alexander Usyk. And he rates him, you can tell there. He believes he can be beat, and he believes, obviously, that AJ will beat him, but he rates him. He's impressed by him. He thinks certain things he does are really dangerous, eh? And so do I. Now, generally when we're overseas, when Costello used to be part of the gang, we'd stand on a beach, we'd stand on a park, we'd go on a train, we'd go to a cafe, we'd go to a bar, we'd go to a terrible hotel, we'd go to a lovely hotel. All over the world. It might be Dusseldorf, it might be Hamburg, it might be Berlin, it might be Helsinki, it might be Los Angeles, New York, Las Vegas, it might be anywhere. We'd go there. Well, this week's been a bit of a city tour, if you don't mind me saying so. We've done York Hall in London's East End. Then we went up to leafy Hampstead to a yoga parlour. You can't invent this stuff. Now, same afternoon, Jack and I have jumped on several trains, got several coffees and a couple of cakes, and we found ourselves on the 18th floor of a very snazzy apartment block hotel overlooking Stratford. I can see parts of stuff that was used for the 2012 Olympics. And of course, Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua managed to win gold medals at those Olympics. They might have walked on some of the paths I'm looking out at here. In fact, he's somewhere now walking, Alexander Usyk. We're waiting for his arrival and his team's arrival. And then we'll grab a few words with the maverick, the eccentric one, the unbeaten cruiserweight come heavyweight from Ukraine. Alexander, thank you for finding time to talk to us here on 5 Live. The first question to you is simple. Does this feel like the biggest fight of your life?
На данный момент это действительно самый
Yes,
большой
at this
бой в
time,
моей
at this
карьере.
moment, yes, it is the biggest fight in my career with the 4 belts and the heavyweight with Anthony. Yes, at this point, it is the biggest fight of my career.
And Alexander, have you had to change lots of things you have done different in training? Different sparring partners, different routine, different diet?
Let me tell you, I don't think the astronauts preparing when they go to the space. I believe in this preparation, I went to the space 9 times. So it was very hard. We changed a lot of things. We did different things. We trained very hard, and on Saturday night, we will show what we did.
And will you be a lot heavier? Will you be
Then who?
than last time against Derek? Will he be
Yeah,
heavier than
Derek.
Excuse me.
I think yes. Yes, good.
Now, Anthony Joshua has spoken to Tony Bellew about you. He has spoken to Derek Chisora about you. Have you spoken to any of Anthony's previous opponents?
Why do you need that?
You don't need that. He,
Oh yes, of course. I was talking with Vladimir.
what did Vladimir tell you?
Nothing.
Alexander, Tony Bellew and Derek Chisora, they say several things about you. They say you are a good man, a good family man, and they say you are very smart in the ring. They say you appear, you disappear. So do you think they are giving AJ lots of information about you?
Yes, of course, we're giving a lot of information, but they're trying also to manipulate, to let him know how красавчик, how
Pretty boy.
like
Good boxer.
how pretty I am in the ring, but in the reality, I'm not as pretty as we say.
Now, when you were in London 2012, and I understand you stayed close to where we are now for the Olympics, did you have any contact with Joshua? Did you watch any of his fights? Did you see him in the food hall? Did you see him? Did you speak to him?
Yes, of course, I saw him in the dressing room. We crossed a couple times. We crossed each other. We saw, and he says he doesn't remember me, but I think he's joking.
What does Joshua do best? What is Joshua's best weapon? What is good about Joshua?
Then I saw him 2000. 11 там?
Да.
And then I saw him in the amateur world champion in the 2011. He changed a lot. He had a lot of good things. He put some weight, and he looks like now he looks completely different. And why do I need to right now to name all of his changes?
Okay, they're obvious. And now, finally, getting close to the end, honestly, Alexander, don't worry. You won the world title in Poland on the road. You won another world title in Latvia. You defended the world title on the road in America. You defended the world title in Manchester, in Berlin. But you've never walked out in London with 65,000 people. What do you think it will be like?
Why you say never been in a big arena? I've been 80,000 people at the soccer at the football stadium.
But he's not been in the middle of the pitch fighting them. Or maybe he has.
No, I was in the center. People saw me.
And finally, all joking aside, and it's fantastic to have him look so relaxed. Is he relaxed? Does it feel different than other fights? So we are 2 or 3 days away from the first bell. Does it feel different?
I really relax. I feel like same at every single bout. I don't have to worry about anything. My team is here. Everybody I love is here except my children. Other than that, I'm waiting for Saturday.
Igis, I'll ask you, because you've been around big fighters in big fights, massive audience, massive crowd, massive pressure. Are you surprised sometimes how relaxed Alexander is?
No, because I know him for a long time and he never changed. He changed only just when he comes to the locker room, then he's different.
On the night?
On the night of a fight. Then he is in his head, and even I ask everybody to leave alone. Not anybody going to be, from outside to come in the locker room. That's when he's already start turning into the fighter. But before he comes to the locker room, he's the same all the time.
Thank you, Alexander. Igis, thank you. So that's Alexander Usyk on the 18th floor. The translator, a man called Igis Klimas. Now, Igis looks after just about everybody that can fight from the old Soviet bloc. Lomachenko, Sergei Kovalev, and a few years back, Igis really helped me out when I was in Chelyabinsk. He helped me out getting me access to Sergei Kovalev. Now, floating around up here are lots of Alexander Usyk's men. And in addition to being from the Ukraine and looking like they're from the Ukraine, they're all blonde, they're all men, and they've all got blue eyes. But that's not enough, no. Every single one of them is kitted out in rascal is the word that Eddie Hearn uses, and I like it, in these turquoise tracksuits. Now, they are made from raw nylon, and don't go Googling it because it doesn't exist. I've just invented it. It's the nastiest material on planet Earth. They're all decked out on these turquoise tracksuits, wandering around, and they're very, very happy floating around. And I've got to tell you, and I've been around an awful lot of fighters over the years, some who are telling me in the days before a fight that they're relaxed, some who are telling me they're edgy, and I know they're lying. I'm not quite sure I've ever seen a fighter this close, up close, looking in his eyes from only 6 feet away, be as relaxed and as calm as Usyk. When I shook his hand before the interview, bone dry. When I shook his hand after the interview, bone dry. Genuine smile. You know that gappy tooth smile he's got. And he's got this glorious pirate earring in his left ear, sort of a tribute to Pirates of the Caribbean, which you know is a massive film in Kiev. You just know it, don't you? And of course, one of the really sad things is the hair's gone. You know the mad hair that looks like he's chopped it with a couple of old blunt shears from a garden shed? Well, it's gone. He's now got this beautifully shiny head. He's been wandering around in the streets of East London. In fact, he found, because we're in the middle of what was the Olympic Village for the 2012 Olympics, and he found, I heard him talking earlier on, because I was eavesdropping, as you do, and he said he found the actual apartment where he stayed in 2012 when he won the heavyweight gold medal. Joshua, of course, won the super heavyweight gold medal. He's found the apartment. He's been wandering around there. And he also told me something else before we went into the interview, and I should have asked him the question again. He said that he believes that Joshua can't walk around. That's how famous he is. He's bigging up Joshua. He said, he can't walk around these streets. I can. Well, he might be able to walk around here, but I know from one of my Ukrainian pals that he cannot walk around anywhere in the Ukraine. He is a genuine national idol. He was relaxed. Is that a good thing? No, it's a bad thing. I wanted to see a little bit of edge. Him looking at his watch, him looking above my head, looking at one of his men in their turquoise outfits at the back of the room as if to say, get me out of this. I've done enough of these questions. He looked very calm. In fact, he looked disturbingly calm. So next for us will be the press conference when they'll come head to head, face to face. They're going to shake hands. They're not going to be slapping and throwing punches at each other like Caleb Plant and Saul Canelo Alvarez did earlier this week. No, there's going to be respect there. We know there is. That's just the way AJ works, and it's certainly the way Usyk works. But it'll be interesting to see them looking into each other's eyes, looking up, looking down, just sizing up their shoulders, their hands, their fists, the way they work. How soon after the press conference does one of them grab a bottle and start gulping the water? Do any of them take deep intakes of breath? That type of stuff. Small little things, because there's not a lot in this fight to separate them in many ways. So we're looking for little things, little angles. And we'll speak to Anthony Joshua after the press conference and get his assessment of what he saw at that top table and how he's feeling as the clock ticks closer to 10 p.m. on Saturday night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when it'll be live and exclusive on 5 Live. Carl Froch then will join me at 7 p.m. on Thursday evening for an hour on 5 Live, and that's when we'll play the Anthony Joshua interview. And we'll have another pod for you on Friday after the weigh-in. And that's a question, isn't it? Is the weight a big factor? Will Joshua come in very light? Will Usyk try and come in heavy? Well, looking at Usyk here, if he's gone above 15.8 or 15.9, he's only just nudged above it. He's not going to go up to 18 stone. It's been an interesting week so far. We're just getting closer and closer to the first bell. Thanks for listening.
Let's get ready to rumble!
5 Live Boxing.